Hey, good day. Today I'm going to be discussing uh, chapter 3 of React: bindings, props, states, and events. And Lindo's navigating my session. So, okay, let's begin. So, basically, in this chapter, what we covered was displaying data by binding controls in a JSX template to properties of a React component, applying CSS classes on styles dynamically, using component state, and how to handle events raised from DOM elements. So basically, um, basically using props, states, JSX binding, and event handling. So what are props? Props are basically read-only data passed to components. So they basically store data. Then the state is basically internal mutable data used to manage component logic. JSX binding is tying values such as props and state to HTML elements in JSX. Then event handling is just using events like on click to update the data. So basically, this is the single page application that we made. It basically has different ratings, and we can change the ratings, right, by clicking on the stars and updating the rating data over here, um, as you can see. So that's basically how that works. So let's see how we did that in the code. So firstly, over here we have index.js, right? This is like the main launcher of our single page application. um so we render over here, we render the app component, right? And basically the app component is in our app.js over here. So in app.js over here, um we have our component. So this component is basically, it basically displays what we need in the front end, so all the ratings, right? So firstly, we import component, right, from React, so we can create this class component named app. I've imported React Bootstrap, or let me say I've imported buttons and the badge from React Bootstrap, mainly for styling. And then basically here I've imported the rating, basically the rating component, so that we can place the ratings over here, right? So this is basically the app component, and essentially we have this render function and this return method, and within it we have this div, right? And basically we've placed different ratings over here, um which have the different values. So rating 1 all the way till 5 over here, and we do that using the rating component that we've imported, which is basically this component over here, which is what I'll discuss now. So it has ratings from 1 all the way till 5, as you can see. And I've also used React Bootstrap, right, to basically attach like badges to each rating over here. So when you see here, we have the different ratings and then the different badges here as well. So that's basically the app component. And then over here I've exported app, so that it's accessible, so that the app component is accessible to other modules, basically, such as rating.js. So in my rating.js, I have basically my rating components that are created here. So this components basically gonna like handle like the changes of the ratings that we make in the front end, right? So like so it's gonna handle the changes based off like the clicks that we make on the stores, right? So as we can see, when we make these different clicks, these different changes that take place, which are the ratings being changed. So that's what this component handles. So firstly yeah.
Hello. My internet was bad again.
Oh ish. Sorry.
Disconnected. How far are you now?
I'm about to start. I started with this rating.js, so the rating component. So, oh yeah, you wanted to ask a question on this.
Yeah, I wanted to ask to how does the bars that you click basically affect like the number? If may go to the front end.
Mm.
You see upon clicking a star
Yeah.
and rating, like the number that's next to the rating basically change. So I wanted to ask a question based on that to how does the change come about?
Yeah. Okay, let me touch on that as I explain. So,
Okay.
um, basically, right. So, firstly, okay, let me start from the top, right. So, this is this component is mainly what does that. So we have this function, right? This constructor function. Then we have props, right? So props basically stores like the data, um, or the ratings, right, from our parent folder. All these ratings over here. So that's what prop stores, right? And from my understanding, right, um, this dot state is basically um stores that data, the ratings, but the difference with states is though that data within it can change, right? Um, but we're gonna discuss how that data changes. So how those ratings change. So from my understanding, this is basically saying like the current state of the rating is whatever is shown over here, right? That's the current state of the rating. Um, so basically, this handle click method, right? It's handling, it's basically handling the process of clicking these stars, right? And this data changing. So how does that happen is basically rating value, right? It it's basically storing all those values that change, essentially. Um, so if we come here, right, to where this render is happening, basically in this, let's use this for an example, right? So in this first dictionary, right, we have this dot state dot rating. So it's basically saying if the rating is greater than or equal to 1, right, then basically it will show um a filled star, right? So that's what this icon means, based on this on click event listener. So this on click event listener is basically what triggers um the changes that happen um over here, right? But to explain it further, Linda, are you still with me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Again.
Alright, cool. Now I paused. I was waiting for you. So so what I was saying, right, is this on-click event listener, right? That's basically what allows us to click those stars. Then
Okay.
basically, right, from how I see it, we have this bind method, right? So this bind method, I think that's where the changes take place. It's basically sort of, remember what bind does is, let's look, right? So JSX binding, so it's tying values such as props and states to HTML elements in JSX, right? So
Okay.
from my understanding, bind is taking that specific value, right, which is the rating.
Mhm.
It's taking 1, right, and it's binding it to, or it's tying it to this, basically this handle click method, right?
Wait,
So
so the handle click is a built-in method. It's not a function that just created.
it's a built-in method, yeah, basically is.
Okay.
So this handle click method, right, it has rating value. Rating value is storing the values, right? So because we use bind to tie that to handle click, I believe that this specific value is stored in rating value. So that's why it changes based off the amount of stars you click. So like if you click 2 stars, right, that means the rating will change to 2. So the rating value now stores the rating of 2. So like, yeah, when you basically click here, that's why it changes essentially. That's how I understand it.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense.
Mm.
And why do you include question mark?
So
You see where you say greater than 2 and then question mark. Yeah.
yeah, so I remember Sir saying something about like this is almost like a switch case. So if you remember, like with switch cases, right? Switch cases are almost like sort of, from what I remember, almost like sort of if statements in a way. So it's checking if this
Yeah.
condition is true or not. So like it's, if we think about it in simple terms, it's basically asking, right, is this greater, is the rating greater than 1, greater than or equal to 1? So if it is, then basically this will be executed. If it's not, then this line of code is executed. So I think that's what the question mark basically means. So it's like sort of like it's almost an if statement in a way, from what I see.
Yeah. And then, okay, I get that part, Annie. And then, if you may notice, Annie, inside this dot state rating, on each of those, you have this same statement being repeated twice. The IOIO. This is being repeated on yeah. So why is that? Because I think this is the same thing.
So
You see, yeah, on line 22 and line 25, line 27,
yeah,
and line 30.
all the way till the last one. I see.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to what this basically is it basically represents like the icons, right? Those stars.
Icon, yeah.
So this one here, right? I don't know how to say it. IOIO is star, right? Is basically basically when you click here, it basically refers to the star being filled, essentially, right? So as you can see, when it changes to black. So
Okay.
yeah, and then this one is saying star outline. It basically means the star is empty, right? So it's referring to these empty stars over here. So when you think about it, when it says if the rating is greater than or equal to 1, right? Then this is basically executed. So that means you basically chose one, you basically clicked on one star, essentially. Then the rest are empty.
Okay, wow. I don't know how I'm going to explain this in my video, but
Yeah, it's a bit trippy, but you get where I'm coming from, right?
I understand. It's just that now I don't know how to explain it now on my own in a video. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, so it's like here, because you see the value of 2, right? And it's saying greater than or equal to 2. So referring to if you clicked 2 stars, basically. Now these 2 stars are full, right? That means this line of code is executed because there is a rating of 2, because you basically clicked 2 stars and those 2 are full. And then this is basically the opposite, referring to empty stars. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much, Tom.
Alright, cool. Then so yeah,
Did you
I believe it works the same. Huh?
I'm thinking you pause your video.
No, I'm still busy. The video's still on.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I believe it works the same for all of these are dictionaries, right? These are all dictionaries, from what I see. But anyway.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, it's not making sense.
yeah, because it was not making sense exactly.
Yeah. I see that it's enclosed by the curly brackets, right?
Yeah.
I see the semicolon indicating a key and a value pair, but it doesn't make sense because a key is something else, and the value is just something that's not basically like, how can I say this? Like, basically a key is its own entity. Like, a key does something and the value does something.
Like the value
But
is
how it
attached to the
usually
key.
works in a dictionary, yeah, a key is a thing that we use to just index a value. So yeah,
Yeah.
this syntax
I
is really
think try to remember, I think if we try to remember the whole switch case thing, it was a long time when we did that. But the whole switch case thing that we did in intro, right? I
Were you
believe
doing
it's
switch
similar.
case in JavaScript?
Yeah, I remember there was a period where we did switch cases.
Okay.
Don't remember exactly
I
how
remember
they work,
switch
but
case.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
similar to this.
Like the switch case, right? Like the syntax is almost the same as of a class, right? So the name switch is like a class, then it's gonna be then there's gonna be parentheses. Then inside of those parentheses, it's gonna be obviously your expression. And then case is gonna be like something like an if statement. So you can have case 1, case 2, case 3. And each case has to end with a break.
Oh yeah.
How it works.
From what I remember,
But
like,
it was a while back, hey?
yeah,
Yeah. It was a while back.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, something like this. But it's yeah,
Yeah.
I see them as like an easier way to do an if statement. I don't know, something like that. So yeah.
This is an easier way to do an if statement. It's switch case.
Yeah.
Why?
It seems easier because like so based off like the case, right? this value is attached to it, essentially. So it's
Okay.
yeah, it's difficult to explain. It's difficult to explain for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see the easy part of it. I don't see the easy part
Because if you think about like
that you're talking about.
if you to do like a whole, let's say you were to do a whole if statement for this, right? I feel like it will be
Yeah.
longer.
Okay.
You get me?
I still think a statement is simpler to understand and read. If somebody else was to look at my code, like, okay, it makes sense.
Okay,
I don't know.
let's see. But anyway, yeah, I think I explained the rating component.
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, and then here's just exporting
Yeah.
rating, so it's available to other. That's what this export does, right? So
Yeah.
so that other modules can use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Now, this other interesting part is the extends component, like the component part from V8. Like, we have a lot of new things today, hey?
Yeah. True. Let me stop the recording.